Hello, and I'm Robert.
And I'm Adam.
And I'm the third guy.
And we're 10/10thing. I think that's how we start the show, right?
I don't think that's how we start the show, Robbie.
I don't remember how we start the show. I'm confused.
I should be embarrassed with how long I've been listening to you guys, and I've never heard you start the show that way.
We've never once started the show that way. Robbie texted me like 15 minutes ago and said, "Hey, I'm going to start it like track walking. Don't tell Scott. Just know what you're doing."
Robbie forgot that Michigan is in a different time zone.
I totally blanked on that. Like he's like, yeah, I'll be ready like 8:15. Okay, great. Text Adam 8:15. Oh, and then you text me like, hey, I'll be ready in 15 minutes. I'm like, it's 7:15. Oh shit.
I was like 30 seconds from walking out my front door to get in my work truck and head to Robbie's house. So
I'm glad I texted you when I did, though.
Yeah, because I was. He's like, I was like 15 minutes. I guess I'm doing it from home tonight again.
Doing it live.
Yep.
Yeah. So
we don't have an agenda. We just cold called Scott and said, "You're going to be on our show. You talk on a podcast."
For Scott. I have so many questions for Scott.
That's what Robbie told me.
We're going to talk about the thing I don't think you really want to talk about. We're fucking talking about it.
It's gonna be
you
great.
know what? With the stupid group of people that listen to this podcast, you're going to be so like welcomed and embraced. It's going to be great.
It's going to be so good.
No idea what you're talking about.
We're going to talk about turbo Dodges.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Underrated. I still miss that car, and I will maintain that it's terrible.
Before we get into this too much here, hold on.
Sorry.
Introduce yourself so people know who don't listen to the Track Walking podcast or live in the Gridlife ecosystem,
Sure.
who you are.
I is Scott Robertson. I live in Western Michigan, and I do race car things. And I'm a carpenter, a dad, homeowner.
It's a bum deal, isn't it?
Got a very tiny 401k, like very tiny, because I have a race car.
Anytime you want to trade.
Jesus. Yeah. So yeah, that's about me.
You're an adult, and you are the bestest GLTCist driver of 2021.
Are you 2 years in a row?
Did you get it last year?
No, Luke McGrew got it last year.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Because of his half a dozen or more engine swaps.
Every race or every event.
Yeah, about.
Real trooper.
Yeah, I got
I'm sure that there was more than one joke made about like, man, remember when that Viper was expensive?
Oh,
constantly.
Yeah, it was a joke because he actually had to sell the Viper to fund the Miata.
Right.
Yep.
Which is that seems backwards for the progression that most people have through cars. Well, I guess it's probably not actually that backwards, because I think there's a lot of people that start out in slow cars and then they'll work way up to fast cars, and then they'll go back to slow cars again because they realize the fast ones really aren't that much better. They're just more expensive.
Yes, that's when you live in your tiny hometown and you're like, this town sucks, and then you leave it because you know that better stuff is out there. But eventually, later in life, you end up returning to that small town life because you realize it's actually not that bad.
I just changed small towns, but that's it. Like I refuse to do big city things. I'm as close to a big city as I'll get at this point.
Yeah.
See, Sioux City and Ames aren't exactly big cities, so.
No. Ames is too big for me. It's annoying. It's too many people.
It's not big at all.
It's the worst. There's like 50,000 people over there, Robbie. It's the worst.
And 30,000 of them are students.
Yeah, that's the worst part about it.
That seems fair.
It could be worse. I was one of those students. I wasn't that bad.
Town. So, but anyway, yeah. So, as we alluded to, I want to talk about this because apparently you were real deep in the PT Cruiser community, which is an interesting offshoot of the Turbo Dodge community that I somewhat exist in.
I just want to stop right there and thank you for having a Facebook that is at least back to 2007. This made this podcast so much easier. I could just scroll through your Facebook and go, oh, there's a picture I need. And then, of course, I like it. And then I save it.
You left your breadcrumbs like all over. I knew exactly like the things you wanted to talk about by the pictures that you liked.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're going to talk about water skiing at some point.
Oh, no. Water skiing.
He had water skiing pictures from like 2006, so I saved those too.
Yep.
And then I liked them, of course. I can't believe people hadn't liked them yet. They've been up there since 2007.
At one point. Dude,
I remember those days too.
I was freaking cut at one point in my life.
We're not all like Robbie, where he's just like some sort of strange freak of nature.
I went to the gym today. I did chest. I did chest and arms.
Even when you don't like end up.
What's your squat?
Disgusting.
What did I do? Not much. Not a lot.
Okay. Squat was always my gig.
Oh, no.
I got them big old Robertson thighs, so I can squat for days, but I can't bench press to save my life.
When I was skating, my legs were a lot stronger. So,
same.
But I do some squats. I'm trying to think what the number actually is. I just throw the plates on until it feels right, and then we go for it. But it can't be too heavy.
Being modest.
It can't be too heavy, though, because I don't have any friends, so I don't have a spotter. So if it's too heavy and I fall, I'm fine.
See, this seems to fall under the category of how you do anything's how you do everything. I think that's how you race cars too.
Yes.
Is there air in the tires? Yeah, it should be fine. Let's go.
It's fine. I don't have anyone to help me, so we'll do the best we can.
That's not true, Robbie. There's an infinite number of people who are willing to help you.
There is not one person.
All you got to do is ask.
No, they don't want to help. They're there to party.
I would love to help, Robbie.
You are so full of it.
That's not true.
No, you are.
Since I've been fired from announcing.
I don't know what Adam Jabay's problem with us is.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
He fired you from your Voice of Time Attack gigs, which is
I heard that awkward moment.
Yeah,
my condolences.
Yeah, and then he gives the rules to all the GLTC drivers except me. So I have no idea what the rules are, but everyone else in the group chat does.
They'll
say Scott's got nothing to say. Scott. He's like, yeah, I know the rules.
That's because I'm pretty sure Scott's on the super not so secret rule committee.
It's secret now, though.
Jabay told me point blank there's really not a committee anymore. There's just like individual people he talks to at this point.
I think there's some people that aren't even involved.
Those people would be a committee. Like he can call it what he wants, but that makes them a committee.
No, he has his experts he reaches out to. I am not an expert. I don't
believe that.
I'm clearly not.
That.
I'm like the culture expert, I guess. It's like I'm reading the rules and like I'm more like formatting. It's like, hey, all this like etiquette and stuff that's all the way at the bottom. You should put it at the top of the rules if you really want to make that important. Like that's my contribution to the GLTC rules.
No, it's funny.
That's fair though. That's a good thing. It has its place.
Yeah, it's important. It was funny because in the group chat, Jeremy Swenson makes a comment about, hey, or he got the email and then goes, "How come no one's bitching about the rules?" And then like not realizing he was one of the few people that got it.
And everybody's like, "What? How did you?" And then Adam, of course, like chimes in with just a huge eye rolls and table slamming, and then he's like, "All right, anybody in GLTC who wants to get a copy of the rules and not share them, can email me."
Yep.
Yeah, Swenson kind of blew
that. Yeah, because he sent out to a handful of people to get kind of like that initial reaction, some feedback before it went public, and then kind of let the cat out of the bag.
It should be within a week, I think.
Probably shortly after this comes out, I would think, because that would have been 2 weeks after Road America, and that was the plan. So I don't know. I can wait. I don't think it's going to affect any of my plans. I'm not.
It's good. It's good. Like all the small minutia. I don't have the expertise to really call it one way or another, and there are way smarter people like about tire to weight rules and aero percentages. It's like that's not my thing.
No,
I trust that smarter people are working on that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were working on like a way to do flat tuning and balance that a little better. I don't know how. I don't know where that's going. I know that was a focus, and then I kept poking Jabay, saying like, "Hey, ABS is an advantage." Hey, so I don't know if that's going to go anywhere.
It's got a line in it.
Hey, all right,
new line.
All right, that's why us idiots without ABS.
Damn it, Robbie.
Us idiots without ABS now can be balanced.
Hell yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot.
I can't say no ABS for life because it is an advantage.
I have costed out a Mark 60, and I've talked to Austin Hurdle about it as well, but I have not done it, and I have no plans to. But I've thought about it a lot.
Careful, Robbie. Careful, Robbie.
I've died on the no ABS hill for a long time, but
no, come July, it's going to be under your car with 2 days to go before an event, like trying to run wires and crap.
Apparently, it's not that hard.
When you do that, Robbie, call me. I'll help you because I think I'm probably a little bit better at wiring than you are.
Wow.
Probably.
Fact.
That's probably true.
What he does for a living.
So call me. I will help you.
I'll call you after I've jacked it all up. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to tell you you're on your fucking own.
You see how that works? I never get any help.
No, I'm not going to bail you out.
Yourself.
Once you've dug your hole, I'm leaving you in it. I'm not bailing you out.
That's fair.
You're the lover who like pushes everybody away.
Yep.
And then says, "Why does everybody hate me?"
I don't question it. I know why. That's my character flaw. I'd rather squander and flounder by myself without ever inconveniencing someone else.
You just can't stand being wrong.
I don't like being wrong either,
especially in front of people.
Oh God, terrible.
That's why he does a podcast and not like a live broadcast.
Yeah, I don't need real time feedback about how I'm an idiot.
No,
2 days later is bad enough.
Yeah,
because the best part is if they wait long enough, I have forgotten the conversation. And then I can just brush it off. But if it's real time, it'll stick forever.
Well, I do remember you mentioned on the podcast episodes ago, but
here we go.
When I first met you on the one lap, like you're way quieter and nicer than I thought you were going to be. Like you're
in public. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. You're just like, you're super nice, approachable. Like on the podcast, you're a loudmouth, opinionated son of a bitch.
I'm not that bad, but yes. I have my on-air character and then my reality, and like me in reality.
Which one does your wife get to see?
Neither.
I wondered.
We've talked about this in the past, but like Robbie's gone through life stages because I know him as Robbie because I knew him. Like I've known Robbie for like 15 years, right? And so he will always be Robbie to me because that's what he was in high school. And then for a while he was Rob, and now he's Robert. And I assume eventually as he ages, he'll transition into Bob or Bobby or some form thereof.
I think Robert's peaks, man.
I think, like much like his life stages, I think there's many sides to Robbie and different people get very different Robbie experiences.
I buy it. Makes sense.
I've never called him Robert, and I don't know. I feel very strange saying it's far too
formal.
I don't formal. Well, and I don't think I could call him Robert.
It's far too formal for me.
That's fair. Robbie's fine. Just don't. Yeah, I don't see a scenario where I go down the Bob path. I don't like that name at all.
I get that. I mean, I understand. A little
bit more hair. Fine. We'll see what happens.
It's thin already. We can just get rid of it.
I'm just here to roast Robbie.
I'm so down for that. You don't even know.
Terrible.
So anyway, nobody cares about GLTC talk. Let's talk about PT Cruisers.
Let's do it.
So I think how did you
limit me, and then we'll go.
How did you fall into the pit that is PT Cruisers? How did you end up there?
So my father was a Chrysler dealer in the starting in the mid to late 90s through I think like 2010 is about right. boy, we saw some real trash products come through there. But and so towards the end of my college stay, we were trying to figure out, like, I need a car. And at the time, Chrysler was throwing a stupid amount of rebates and friends and family stuff to where I bought a brand new, naturally aspirated 5-speed PT Cruiser for under $10,000.
That's crazy.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Not
like brand new off the dealer floor.
Literally, I mean, yeah, it floor mats and everything. And you can fit if you've never been inside of a PT Cruiser, or if you've seen, boy, my light bulbs are getting real strange in here. If you've ever seen like how versatile a Honda Fit is, take a Honda Fit and like double it, and that's the inside of a PT Cruiser. It's literally a minivan in there.
They're great.
In one trip in a PT Cruiser multiple times. It's phenomenal. The front passenger seat folds flat. You can fit everything. Water skis, snow skis, 2x4s. Doesn't care. It's got that trick shelf in the back.
The front seat folds flat?
Folds flat.
Like folds backwards or tips forward?
Tips forward.
Like stow and go?
Same level as the back seats. And then the shelf had that one position. So it was literally like a truck bed. It was good.
Damn.
So yeah, I got that. And, you know, like any, I can't even say I was a car guy. I liked cars. I was into them, just never had one to like really be able to tinker. Because again, my dad was a dealer and all the cars I drove were just like borrowed, basically.
Right.
So I got in it, and, you know, this was the heyday of forums. So it was kind of like looking around at forums, and there were really only two. There's PT Cruiser Links and PT Crew. Fierce rivalry for a while, by the way, but we won't go down that rabbit hole because it gets weird. Tribalism is strange. So I jumped on the PT Crew side of things because that's where people like wanted to make their cars fast, and I was much more interested in that than like what the latest like peel and stick chrome that you could put on was. So got into that, and basically like, how do you make more power? How do you do this? And it's like, and everyone's like, you can't, like, you're going to spend a buttload of money trying to make a naturally aspirated, these 2.4 naturally aspirated motors, like make 200 horsepower, just sell it and get a turbo.
Yeah.
So I did, sold it actually back to my dad, who just needed a beater to get around with. So he basically just took over payments. And then I was living in Florida at the time. I flew because I wanted the same color, electric blue.
Which is a good color.
It's a killer color. So I wanted that. It had to be the 5-speed, and I didn't want a sunroof. And that package was very hard to find. So I found one in Phoenix. So I flew from Orlando into Phoenix. I stayed the night with some PT Cruiser forum friends who drove me out like an hour outside the city to come pick this up. And then we drove immediately to a PT Cruiser get together with like 6 or 7 people, where I hung out for like 2 hours. And then I'm like, hey, I've got like a 28-hour or like a 20-hour trip. I have to go. And then so I did. There you go.
That's like the story I want to do so badly. Like, you know, because I have this strange love for Cavaliers, which I know is probably worse than PT Cruisers, honestly, because at least you could get a PT Cruiser that was kind of fast.
Well, and that's why I was thinking like Cobalt. I could understand a Cobalt.
Oh, yeah. We don't have to get too much into this right now, but I have every intention of buying a new like nicer, newer daily for myself come springtime, it will probably be a Cobalt SS. So unless I can find a good HHR SS, then I'm buying that because they're sweet.
Twin scroll turbos ain't.
HHR SS is basically a GM PT Cruiser.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Turbo.
designed by the same person.
Yeah, that doesn't even kind of surprise me.
No, literally the same person drew it.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
A far better turbo and more modern engine.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I've many times thought about like having a listener who lives in a better place for weather that has cars that don't rust, finding me a Cavalier and then like flying down there, getting it and driving it home. Absolutely. Many times I've thought about doing that because I think it'd be kind of fun. It'd be a cool story. It'd be an interesting deal. Yep. I just never pulled the trigger on it.
Just do it for the content, Adam.
Well, and see, then it's like I'm buying like a $800 to $1,200 car. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, who cares, right? But then, am I going to get home? Like, am I going to break down on the side of the road? The thing is, I just have to plan this out where I'm buying it and then how I get home based on where our listeners live.
Oh, yeah. You could totally couch hop.
So that I'm never too far away from a garage that I can use.
You guys could set up like one of those maps where everybody just like pins themselves. That was the thing on forums for a while too. I miss forums, to be honest.
There's a lot.
Forums were much better than Facebook as a format.
Yeah, for finding things, absolutely.
Yeah, or like tracking things, because like I really enjoyed, especially when I bought a new car and was trying to learn the platform. I really enjoyed going through build logs and stuff like that.
Yep.
And that stuff just like can't exist in the way that Facebook is set up as a format, unless you have a page, which is really lame and kind of hard to find usually.
Yep.
And I suppose it's like it can be on Instagram, but I like the reading through the descriptions and the story as much as I like looking at the pictures, which isn't really a thing you can do on Instagram. So, yeah, I miss forums too. I feel like that's a thing that may come back.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm still using the 350Z forums for a lot of stuff that I'm looking into, and the posts are from like years ago, but it's relevant data to what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Even say that some of them have gone away. I think they'll pick back up in popularity, or just kind of stay. I mean, the grassroots forums are deep.
Sandbox, real deep.
Sandbox is always going to be there. So there's stuff. I think like the car specific things. Like I had Subaru for a while, and they had a Saab 92X forum I was a part of for a bit. Those I think will kind of go and come and go, but yeah, I was basically known as the suspension guy for PT Cruisers because I'd gone through enough work and research and time that like I was the guy. I had the set of Mopar Stage 3 coilovers, which were basically the KW variant 2s with linear springs instead of progressives. Sway bars, bushings, mounts, hard pipes for the engine.
You fancy boy.
Oh yeah, turbo mounts, intake manifold. The throttle body from the autos was bigger than the manuals. It was a straight swap, so you just get one from a manual and bam, you've got a nice power bump. I had the Diablo Sport tuner, so I could like drive around and like play with boost and ignition timing and stuff like that. So.
Did those work? Because I've seen them, but I've never used one. I've never did they? Yeah, it just seems like a thing that shouldn't work that well, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like you can tune to every 1,000 RPM. You can tune fuel, spark advance, boosts, target boosts, and RPM. So like you can even do a boost by gear if you've kind of got to dig a little bit deeper in there. But Yeah, I mean, mine made over 300 wheel and had way more torque than that. I mean, the PT Cruisers were known for making way more torque than horsepower. I was sitting around like 310 wheel horsepower, so I was probably somewhere in like 340, 350 torque.
A lot of the four cylinder Dodges, that's been a thing. Like even my naturally aspirated Omni, I make more torque than I make horsepower.
Yeah,
and my torque curve is incredible.
Yeah, my 225 KDWs were not even pretending to try to stay under me.
Yeah. So that's basically an SRT4 engine, right?
Yes, except for the intake manifold's the biggest difference for packaging reasons. So that's part of the reason why PT Cruisers made more torque, is they just had super long runners.
Right.
Different intercooler and way better transmission that did not break. So had that going for it too.
Nice.
Yeah. And you could fit a family of 4 in the back. And the last thing my friend and I did, who lived like just down the road, and he was still is a PT Cruiser guy, is we did we welded in tabs because you could feel like I mean, it's this huge box. It's like a rectangle. So it's like the back end's flexing all over the place. And it's like, of course I never put this thing on track or anything, but I could tell that's like, it needs more rigidity. So I designed and welded, had my buddy weld up all these tabs, 2 to the inside of the top of the shock mounts in the back, and 2 right behind the oh shit handles for the rear passengers. And we welded and made adjustable Heim joint bars, real beefy things, where you could quick disconnect them when you had to actually put people in the back. But basically you quick pin these in and then you adjust them so that in tension, and it was astounding the difference that made. But that was where we stopped. My buddy and I were starting to look into the rear geometry of putting in a neon independent rear suspension in one. And I moved and sold my PT before we got to that point.
The Watts, they have a Watts link in them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world.
It's not terrible.
I mean, it's better than the stick axle I've got.
Yes. Yeah, it's for sure. But yeah, having an actual camber curve and, things like that wouldn't have sucked.
No, I get that. So why'd you sell it?
Stage in life, basically. I had just had a kid. We had bought a Mazda CX-5 she had a Honda Fit first gen, and then she wanted something bigger because it's a Honda Fit. So got a CX-5, and then at that point, my PT was just over 100,000, and you know them turbo Dodges, they not the most reliable thing up there. So
I suppose,
yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I put the SRT4 seats in it, so that was nice. I was the only PT Cruiser in existence I know of that had a second gen Viper steering wheel.
Ooh, that's some real parts bin rummaging stuff.
This was a 5-month process for me, and figuring out, could it bolt on, which it can a PT Cruiser airbag fit inside of it, which it can, and then how do I graft on the cruise control stock so I can keep my cruise control? It was phenomenal. I was so happy with it.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So did it come with the side skirts and the body kit, or did you add that?
Oh, I added that. That was the Mopar kit too. Just really subtle, but I don't know. Thought it made it look a little bit cooler.
I understand. I did the same thing in that time train.
Yeah.
That and the front mount and the wheels, man, it's so good.
Yeah, I had one of the few custom front mounts that Bell intercoolers made, super thick. Yeah, that was nice. The wheels, I thought I was a baller because I went with 8-inch wide wheels on this thing. I think that's it flush.
Pretty wide, honestly. And I mean, I don't know about that chassis specifically, but like, I can't put an 8-inch wide wheel under mine.
Yeah, I remember a ton of people like, wait, you're putting 225s on 8-inch? Man, you're stretching the hell out of those. I guess I'm still riding that life. I'm on 245s on 10s now, so whatever.
Robbie's living that life too.
Yeah, so. I got 265s on 11.
That's a thing, man.
Hot boy.
It wasn't on purpose. They didn't have the 285s in stock.
Hey, from a tire perspective, that's how you make a tire fast.
Yeah, see, it's fine. It's the tire guy said it's cool.
There's a point where it's become too far. Robbie's getting real close to it.
I'm there. I'm fully aware.
Yeah, we did a bunch of tire setup evaluations for people at Midwest, and one of the Club TR guys we did some data for, and kind of took a look, and it was clear that like he had the max width at 255 on 9-inch wheels. And like from the tires, I could tell that like they're not happy, and you're going to be eating through these. Like you can pick up measurable time by going with a 10.5 or wider. So I think he's looking into it. He's got to do some hub conversion stuff, I think so.
Yeah, that's the annoying part about a lot of the cars out there. I mean, that's where I'm at with the Omni. It's like, if I want to take it track, if I want to do track day things with it, it needs bigger brakes. If I want to put bigger brakes on it, I have to change the whole hub assembly. And so then I have a different bolt pattern, which means I got to buy new wheels. Yep. It's just like, it just keeps cascading down. It's like, this is dumb.
Yep. I mean, your classic car territory, converting it into something that's
that it's not.
And I mean, you're $5,000 into it easily.
Yeah, just to get it rolling.
Yep.
Into a car that's worth, if I'm lucky, it was worth $4.
Maybe, yeah. Cars are stupid money right now too. So
that's fair. But it doesn't seem like that's really affected the 80s Dodge market that much. So
small market.
Yeah, pretty small market. So after the PT Cruiser, is that when the Miata came into play? Because you are in one of the K-Swap Miatas in GLTC. Is that when this car came into existence?
Or was the PT Cruiser where you started autocrossing or racing or anything?
The PT never saw legitimate action off of streets. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that. I drove
keeping it on the streets, huh?
I drove that thing way too fast on public roads. I was fortunate, and people around me were fortunate. No, after that, my son's mom, we got her that CX-5, and when I sold the PT, I picked up I drove the Honda Fit. Just did some really basic stuff with that. Meaningful, springs, dampeners, alignment. Which really, God, those cars just love to turn. They're so much fun to drive, just like on streets at the speed limit.
It's shockingly good.
It's so good. Like, yeah, I think I had maybe 2 degrees of camber in the front with just a fuzz of toe out with Swift springs and Coney adjustables. And God, that thing was a riot on a commute at the speed limit. Like it just was happy to be there. Whatever I can do, sir, let me know.
They're so funny on track. And then you watch them, you're like, they're not even trying that hard, when you're just standing there watching it. And then like you get in the passenger seat and you're like, am I going to die right now?
Oh,
this is insane.
It's a little train that could, basically.
Yeah.
No, I had some life stuff going on at the time. Had a whole hell of a lot to get through. So no, the Miata didn't come down until another 4 years, something like that. And basically, like, I had gone to Gridlife Midwest Festival in 17, I think it was. When my buddies and I found out about it, we just thought it was the coolest thing. So, and I still have, like, I think on my Snapchat, like a picture of me or a video of me recording myself drinking a beer at a table just outside of turn 2 with EDM music playing in the background. Like, and I was like, yeah, I'm never leaving. I live here now.
That's funny that happened.
Our first year was 16, and it was
identical.
Yeah. Like, this was the best decision I've ever made in my entire life.
So at that point, and even before that, I'm like, man, you know, I'd love to just give this a go. And so I started kind of like looking around at Miatas, and I knew I wanted the NB. I know I wanted the refreshed, so the NB2. You know, and I live in Michigan, so it's like I was looking nationwide, and sure enough, something like 45 minutes away pops up for a pretty good deal. It was right just under 100,000 miles. Go and look at it. The owner apparently only had one eye, so the body had kind of been beaten up a little bit. I didn't know how much until NCM, actually, when part of the contact revealed how much Bondo was on one of the quarter panels.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, Rich, the Fortners are doing God's work right now on that thing. And yeah, I went and looked at it, but he never drove it in the rain. Like, this thing underneath was clean. I still remember, like, doing like suspension components. All the bolts came out. I was astounded and floored. And I've done far worse things to that car in its short life since. So yeah, that was
poor thing. It didn't even know what it was about to get into.
No, literally the first weekend, the AC system came out of it. All the entire interior came out. HVAC came out. Yeah, went down a deep, dark path real quick.
So you did all that stuff, like, knowing that you were that it was probably still going to be like it, even if it's a track car, because you're kind of famous for driving that car.
Yeah. Yep.
So you took out AC and any level of interior that, I mean, they're not exactly the most comfortable interiors in the world to begin with, but they're still better than not having it at all.
Yeah.
You went right off the deep end, huh?
Yeah. And that was kind of something I'd carried over from PT Cruiser Honda Fit stuff, is like, if it didn't need to be there, I really wanted to take it out. For lightness facts, for simplicity, just everything. And like, but on the PT Cruiser, it was really riding the line with, like, it was pretty uncomfortable and loud to drive. I mean, it had a 3-inch turbo back exhaust that didn't have a muffler on it. It sounded amazing, but yeah, so it's like I wanted a car I could, like, go full stupid with, and I kind of knew, like, it went down to McMahon Autosport in Ohio, I think within 3 months of me owning it, to get a full cage.
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you went
3 months
that full bore on that so fast.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted, where I wanted to go. And so my first track day was actually later. God, the years. Anyway, but my first track day was later that same year. I bought the Miata, and it had a hard top. Both had fixed back bolt-on seats with 6-point harnesses, cage, stripped interior, stock wheels, the same all-season tires it came with, kind of better fluid, brake lines, and mediocre pads. And I sent it. that was it. And I had so much fun. And that's when Gridlife was still doing right seat instruction.
Yep.
So my instructor and I were, we were given point buys constantly because, and I kept the engine stock until I did the K swap. And yeah, it's the final session of the second day. I got a point buy from a Porsche Carrera, and dude, we were pumped. Been working up my butt off and it's like, sure enough, like this
That's
guy
so
could,
funny.
Just eat me on the straights. And then sure enough, by like turn 7, I was up his butt, and finally he got by. But then he did do the smart thing, found out what I was doing, and then he passed me back the 2 laps later, and I never saw him again. So there you go.
That's so funny. There's a lot of people out there that have that story, that like, I finally got the point buy from the guy that like should have been way, way, way faster than me. So, and that seems to be one of the things that kind of seals the deal for a lot of people.
Yep. Yeah. I've always liked kind of the underdog car. My first season of GLTC, I was on a stock VVT motor, like stock airbox, stock exhausts, like stock. And just doing it for the experience. And when I could keep up with faster cars, I knew that I was doing well. And now it's gotten a lot more complicated. The racing, the car, kind of judging how fast I am as a driver, like it's all gotten complicated now. Simpler times were years ago.
Well, it's kind of funny because, a handful of years ago, you were the student, and now you're kind of the instructor, the go-to guy. You guys are doing engineering evaluations for setups. It's, a lot changes in just a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's nuts how much we've learned. The kind of the path of both of our builds, me with the Miata, Becky with Mooncake, the Mazda 2.
Yep.
We kind of start out with feel and safety stuff first. Feel being like shifter, motor mounts, maybe bushings, stuff like that. Safety being outside of a helmet, being seats, roll bars, stuff like that. Brakes are next. Got to have at least decent pads and fluid on. Suspensions only after you get used to all that, and then only after you actually learn what that good suspension can do for you and how to adjust it did we then add power, and then only after we ran a full season of power did we even start dealing with aero. Ta-da.
I mean, that's probably the right way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's very few people that do it that way, but that's probably the most correct way to do it. So.
I just never had enough money to like pour into it all at once. Even some of the upgrades I'm doing this winter, I just didn't have the money to do it this past year because things happened.
It happens, man. It happens.
Yeah.
So many things happened.
You had a year.
Yeah, you had a real rough year. So.
Yeah, I think I want to sit down with Becky and just do with a GoPro and just do a video and splice in some in-car and photos from this year just to chronicle it, because I forget how much happened. And I'm constantly reminded, oh yeah, you remember, where was it? Blackhawk. Yeah. You remember when your exhaust opened up? Oh God. I'd forgotten about that.
No.
Yeah. At Road America, during the ASM party and get together stuff, Chris, one of the Gridlife guys, not Chris Stewart, can't think of his last. Yeah, he came up and was asking people what's your best memory of this year at Gridlife? And he kind of hit me off guard, and I wasn't ready for it. But for some reason, that question has come back into my head repeatedly in the weeks since. And I keep thinking about all of the crazy, fun, cool things I got to do this year.
You guys got to do some pretty amazing stuff with some ridiculous people.
Yeah, like I went to every Gridlife event with the exception of Track Day Picnic this year.
Oh, that's a good one too.
I know. I just I didn't have to be there, and I was at so many other ones. I was just like, I can't make this work. So, but yeah, like, and I got to thinking about it, and like, so, I mean, you got to experience this at Road America. My kid has come with me to a handful of these events. And like, there's tons of things that revolve around that, like seeing his face light up when we were at Alpine and they were jumping that Pro 4 truck over drift cars. Like he just lost his mind. Like that was the coolest thing he had ever seen in his entire life in that moment. And like just seeing the look on his face was so cool. And then getting to have my dad come to Topeka, that was really cool. And just like a bunch of things that didn't come to me in the moment. Yeah. When Chris was asking people those questions, it's like, man, we did some wild stuff this year. So
that's something I really want to be better at, is just appreciating things as they happen. Like one NCM to one lap to Blackhawk aside, even Gingerman Spring Kickoff, that same motor mount, the replaced one had started to sag and melt again. And this was after race 3, we discovered this. And David from K-Power had another one, and we theoretically had enough time, but I had to go instruct. So Becky assembled a small team, and I had to walk away from the car while they fixed it, which it's not a trust thing, but it's like, I'm the one who works on the car, and I had to be like, good luck. I have to go watch beginners. And so I did, and I came back and they were wrapping things up. So I do a few things, and then Becky tells me, all right, we're going to get this done. Get your gear on, get in the car. So I do. I'm getting strapped in. She does the safety checks, and they're tightening up the last few bolts. And then they're quick look everything over. The grid is rolling out. So of course, like I'm not gridded where I should be, but just like making the race at this point is going to be a thing. And so we get in, I strap the car, they drop the car, I'm already strapped in. All the cars have been released from grid, and I come all the way up paddock at a reasonable pace, trying not to freak people out, but I'm trying to hustle. I turn, the people at the bottom of the grid are like point me through, and like I'm coming up, and like I'm trying to go like 20, 30 up grid, because
there's not a speed limit, but there is, and
people are watching. And I see Mike Cohn and a few other people at the top of the grid just like full windmill arming it through, and so it's like, screw this, let's freaking go. So I come up grid moving, and then I basically have to play catch up. I mean, the back of the grid was coming through 6 or 7 at that point.
Oh, geez. You're way behind.
I'm like full race pace. And then sure enough, the green flag drops, and I'm getting to have more races like this, but that is the most flow state I've been, I think, all season. Because I was just super calm, super focused. Like I knew I didn't have a great starting position, but I knew what I needed to do. We didn't even get to check tire pressure, which for us is like the sin of sins. And Becky's like, hey, we don't have time to do tire pressure. You're just going to have to figure it out. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And it was just like one after the other. I'm like, all right, who's next? All right, got this. All right, cool. We're coming around the corner. I remember I was coming for you.
Yep.
I was almost up to you. And
you didn't pass me?
No, there was 1 or 2 cars in between, and sure enough, coming up from 2 to 3, the car was cutting out because one of the things we had not checked was how much fuel was in the car.
Oh.
And that was, we cried. I got back to paddock like with 2 laps to go, car cutting out after all that effort. James Morgan, Chandler Marr, and Marlowe helped us out, and I got back to paddock just like amazed and like felt amazing with what they were able to do, and just heartbroken that it ended with fuel starve.
Yep.
So it's like I got back, I took off my helmet and like rolled my fire suit down and just like hugged Becky and cried, like just from the emotional letdown of all of that.
Did everything right except the fuel. It's always that too. It's like I've done that before. Like even that first race weekend, I'm looking at my fuel gauge because I got a saddle set up and I only have one gauge. I need to actually have a gauge for each side. So I pull up into grid and it's like on E. And I'm like, well, does that mean the other side's full or am I literally on E? Damn it. So I go back and top it off. And then, of course, doing the same thing you're doing. Like they're pulling out. I'm like not in position. It's like my first race weekend. I'm super nervous to begin with. I'm like, but yeah, once I'm out there, I think that's one thing I am really happy with myself is that when I do get on into a race situation, I'm in the moment, more of a flow state. But like for some reason, I can't quite do it the same way during a practice or a HPD or a time attack session. But like once I'm in the race, though, I'm able to like put all that other stuff behind me.
I'm getting better. Part of it for me is I tend to be a very anxious person. I can get stressed out easily. And so my brain likes to go in a bunch of different directions and be affected by little things. And I've gotten a lot better at that over the last few years, but still having my awareness stay super open and just have like this telepathic communication with the car and what the car is telling me and my response to it. That's still a work in progress. I'm really going to try to take up meditation this off season. For my own personal health, but also I think it will affect my driving in a positive manner as well.
Yep. No, I haven't done meditation, but I've done a lot of the, like you say, flow. I got the book Flow. I can't think of the author's name. It's like 1,000 letters, but that book was really helpful. Gosh, I'm looking right at them, but there's a handful of books that Ross Bentley's recommended. A lot of the what is it? Like the 10,000 Hour book where it's talking about talent's overrated or whatever. That book. There's so I read a lot of those over the winter last year and kind of focused on being mentally prepared to get into wheel-to-wheel racing. Whereas this year now I'm focusing on
the game. Like everyone who's like fiddling with their car, like my car's not ready until I have this turbo kit and all this stuff. That's not the thing you need.
Nope.
It's a mental sport, full stop.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can have a crap car, you can have a great car, but a crap car is going to go fast with somebody who's got the mental capacity and ability to get everything out of it. And a fast car is going to go way faster with that same person.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I may need to get some of those titles from you. You can just borrow them, but
so you can borrow the ones I got if you want. I'll mail them to you.
I write in books and I get territorial.
Fair enough.
I'm an academic nerd in a different part of my life. Like if I read a book, it's going on my bookshelf.
Oh, I'm the same way. I have 2 full bookshelves. That's why they're sitting right here to my left. And I'm looking at them right now. Like that's the book I read for the mental health stuff. That's the one that was all about focus and flow. And so and then I have a stack of like the Carol Smith setup books and like Think to Win and all those books are sitting next to my bed right now. And same thing, like I'll highlight things and make notes and like a piece of paper's next to the bedstand as well that I'm like, okay, now we got to check this is the setup I want. I can't just read it for bed because now my mind's racing on what I need to go do.
Oh yeah.
That weekend or the next day or whatever.
Oh yeah. I get it. Notes are my best friend.
I struggle so much to read those books. I can't like sit down and read that stuff.
Dude, I'm such a
I
nerd.
get so bored, and I like then my mind starts to wander, and I got too many other things going on. It's like
it's probably not how you learn.
Working for me. No, I learn by doing.
Okay.
So I've used the books, like I've thumbed through different setup books and stuff like that, and then or driving technique books, and then I've gone out like back when I still autocrossed heavily, I would go out and I would drive, and then after a race I would kind of be thinking about, or after a heat I would kind of be thinking about it between waiting for my next run and be like, oh, okay, this makes sense to me now. And then I would go back and look at that specific thing in those books again to kind of
reference,
solidify it in my mind.
Sure.
But that's I can't sit down and like read those books. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, and that's a podcast I want to do at some point. Andrew Rains and I kind of talked about this a little bit, is I want to get one person for kind of each of the major learning styles, and I want to talk about driving, because that's something, even among the instruction and coaching circles out there, is not something I see explicitly talked about. And I think something that is very important, not only for students, but for coaches who are out there doing instruction. And it's something I learned pretty early on with, I was a water ski instructor, going back to that whole thing down in Florida. And basically what I found is I could use 5 different phrases or calls to action that would accomplish the exact same thing, but I had to say different ones to different people to get to that same point. Like there's the body position for going across the wake in slalom skiing. Generally is, especially the spine and alignment's very, very important, but you had to say different things to different people to get it to click. And sometimes it was like, all right, push your butt forward, or hips forward, or chest high, or up, or arch your back. I mean, it's like all sorts of different things that would click to different people. And sometimes like it wasn't even something I could say, like we had to go like put a rope around a tree and just have them do that. And I would like physically put their body in the position that I wanted them to be in so that they could feel it. And then once they felt it, then they could go out and do it. Or they had to read about it. There's all these different ways, but that's something I think would be a valuable conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, back when Robbie and I used to skate a lot, I spent a lot of time like trying to help younger kids learn how to do stuff, and yeah, like I can see like having to explain to different people different ways to make stances or for tricks and stuff like that. Yeah, been there, done that.
Yep.
So
exactly it.
So
well, like one thing that sticks out is everyone says like eyes up, but like that's not as simple as that, and it doesn't translate the same way to everybody.
No, and the thing I've been hearing more often, especially this past weekend, I was instructing at Grattan, is people just want to say, you want to look way far ahead. If you're looking too close, you're not looking far enough. You need to look ahead. And that is like, at what?
Yeah. Where am I focusing?
It doesn't help me at all.
I'm looking at the horizon. Like that's not
right. And what I found more is like, at least if you want to keep it in like a small phrase, is the eyes up. For a few different reasons, because generally if you're looking close, you are looking down. So the whole like look forward thing to me is meaningless. Looking up accomplishes 2 things. One, it does allow the brain to basically wake up. When you're looking down at the ground, like in front of the car, your eyelids close a little bit, which triggers your brain to think that you're about to fall asleep. So your higher brain functions do start to slow down. So simply looking up wakes your brain up. It also allows you to see more in your periphery and vertically as well. So your field of vision is much better, and it helps you feel like you're not going to die. Because like when you look like right like 20 feet in front of the car, like the world ends at 25 feet. Like that's it. Yeah. Like you turn in, like, oh, there's my turn in point. There is literally like the earth ends at that point. But at least if you've got your eyes high, you realize, oh, there's something on the other side of that. We might be okay. So that does calm people down as well. But yeah, but that's only like in a short phrase. But the whole like, look ahead, look up, like at what, for how long, when, like what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, where should my head be at this spot in corners?
Yep. Yeah, Ross Bentley did a huge vision webinar I took that was hugely valuable, and even gave you like some things you could do to like help train your eyes, things like that. So I found that very cool.
Yeah, he's at a handful of his Speed Secret email blasts that have focused on that, and some of the resources that he attaches to it are like beyond helpful.
Very good. Very good.
Have you ever talked to him?
Yeah, he was on the One Lap this year, actually.
That's right.
Yeah, I cursed in front of him at AMD. I still forget about that. I think.
Were you cursing because we were leaving, or?
No, I was cursing because the track was so good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we were in line for that noodle truck.
That was so good. That was the best food I had all weekend.
Banger food. And Becky was standing there and one of our other buddies, and I knew Ross Bentley was there, but I was just so excited because I got off track. And I'm like, dude, this track fucks. And and it's like I look back around and I realize Ross Bentley's still there, and he's like, I feel like he's somehow like my track dad, or like track something, like he's just older, wiser than I am.
You can't swear in front of him.
No,
this totally get it.
Holy, he is sacred. This man is set apart to do bigger and better things. And I just said this track fucks in front of him. Like I am forever ruined. But I do think I can. I'm going to ask him to be on our podcast at some point. And I think
you absolutely should. I'm sure he would do it.
Yep.
I think he would.
Adam knows him. Adam knows him really well, Jabay. And we ended up swapping shows at one point years ago when he first started his podcast.
That's cool.
We had him on and he had us on. So
nice.
Super nice guy.
He is
like the nicest dude.
Well, he's Canadian, so he's got that going for him.
Yep.
I mean, that's fair.
Consistently the nicest people I've ever met are from Canada or Australia. Just
yeah, we'll vouch for that.
Except French Canadians, they're their own thing.
So speaking of One Lap, I have some questions about it for you. How many times have you done it?
We have completed the One Lap 3 times, and we have entered 3 times. So
okay, that was my next question. The way you worded that.
Yeah, that's fair.
What brings you back? Because
it's dumb
from the outside looking in. Like the amount of interest I have in that event specifically is as close to zero as it could possibly be. I cannot fathom wanting to do that.
Yep.
It is, and that's just me.
It is not for everybody. Like anybody who puts that on, like, well, if you're into cars, you've got to do this event. No, you don't.
Yeah. So what is it about that event that brings you back over and over again?
Well, the reason why I wanted to do it in the first place was my father and I in 2002 were supposed to be getting one of the first 5 neon SRT 4s to be released to a dealer. He was able to take the dealer training necessary early to be able to secure this unit. It was going to be a bright yellow one because that was a color you could still get back in the day. And we were basically going to do like brake pads, and that's about it. And just take it. And it would have been a phenomenal car for the One Lap. And basically Chrysler stiffed us with like a month and a half to go. And so we didn't. And I just kind of always wanted to do it because, you know, we were kind of like getting amped up and geared for it and everything. And, you know, being able to do something like that with my dad was going to be cool. And, you know, sure enough, you know, he dies before we got the chance. And so when I got the Miata, that was part of the plan for the Miata is this thing is going to see the one lap. Becky and I actually drove it down to either the start or the finish of the one lap at the Tire Rack headquarters. Not even knowing that Becky was going to be the one to actually like do it with me when we went back. But, you know, she was down for the drive, and I'm like, you know, basically like showing my car. It's like, hey, little thing. Hey, baby Miata, this is going to be you someday. And so, and I had been to like years of starts and finishes for it, just like thinking it was just cool because of that. And so we did it. You know, the Miata still had stock wheels, stock suspension, had better brake pads and safety. And like, that was it. We didn't even have our trailer. Like everything had its spot. If you didn't put the umbrella in first, like it wasn't going to work. And so we did it, and it was hard. This was the year we went out to Colorado and then Texas, and we didn't have air conditioning.
Gosh, those routes are so dumb.
Yeah.
It's
so
insane.
So long.
To this date, the longest transit we've ever done on the one lap was from High Plains, Texas to MSR Crescent, which for those of you keeping track at home is a 12.5-hour drive, not lollygagging. And so because we were one of the slower cars, we got out later. So I don't think we left the track till 3. I think about 3:30. And we got in surprisingly earlier than we did some of the transit this past year.
I say Atlanta was pretty hard on you this year.
That was rough. And so, yeah, I think we were staying with my uncle and aunt who were like 45 minutes from the track. And we got in at like 2:33. I think we were in bed by 3 and up at 6. And our phones kept dying in the car because it was so hot. We didn't have any tent on the windows, which was a huge mistake. So we constantly drove with the windows cracked because you had to. And so once we got back, I like out of morbid curiosity, I'm like, hey, Google, at what temperature does an iPhone shut off? It's 113.
Yep.
And we had to like get into a rhythm with how much we had to drink. So like every stop we had this, you know, this person got filled up. This person went in and peed and got the beverages. And then the other person does while the person who just came back is like converting the seat because Becky has to have like a 4-inch piece of foam behind her to like have a chance of reaching the pedals and steering wheel. And the first 2 years, she was just a transit only driver, transit and crew chief kind of thing. And we had to buy 2 large Gatorades for each of us. And like for the first 45 minutes, we had one on the back of our neck and one in between our legs, helping to cool our bodies. And we found out that we actually could drink an entire one immediately and not have to pee.
Jeez.
Because it was that hot. Like it took so much effort to just not die. So it was just like this huge like struggle, and the people were absurd. Like just some crazy car people that were like this intersection between Becky calls it like summer camp for adults in race cars across the country.
That's fair.
And they're weird. They're goofy. I ended up wearing a pink t-shirt or a pink tank top from one of our buddies because they had some brake issues. And So this company wanted like some pictures like for their marketing stuff. So I put on this women's like pink tank top, and they put it on their website because that's the one lap, and just so supportive. That was kind of our first dealings with Smedegaard and Hollis and Tim Miller, who's like one of my great friends now. And so many other people who helped me like want to go. And like, if you're on the side of the road, like one lappers will stop to help you 100%. They will bend over backwards at the track to make sure you try to get fixed and everything. It's just the supportive community is absolutely the reason why we were able to finish and kept coming back. And we see a lot of similarities in the Gridlife paddock, but it's a lot more intense, certainly for doing it for 8 days on the one lap.
Yeah, I wondered if obviously there's got to be some similarities between the Gridlife paddock and the one lap paddock, considering that half of the people in one lap are also Gridlife regulars, it seems.
Yeah, it's gotten that way in the last couple of years. My first year was much.
Can almost be said for any large event anymore, it seems like.
The wait list for the one lap happens very quickly now.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems that you look at the entry list for UMI's King of the Mountain, and like half those people are Gridlife regulars, and half the people are a bunch of people who won championships at Solo Nationals this year and runoffs. And it's like, man, there's a lot of really good drivers at Gridlife events.
Yeah, and
it's really frustrating for somebody. I mean, I'm not driving, so it doesn't really affect me, but like, man, it's kind of hard to like think about trying to be competitive in this when
it's a runoffs level of competition every weekend.
Yeah, really.
Well, I was talking to Andrew Rains about that at an event this year, and he had kind of an interesting perspective on that statement. He said that, I'm pretty sure it was Andrew Rains I was talking to.
I know you were talking to Brian Highcotter, and he kind of said the same thing.
Maybe it was Brian Highcotter I was talking to. I don't know. I talked to a lot of people at events, a lot of smart people. That's a thing. I think you're right. I think it was Highcotter. He mentioned that, if you go to like a regional or a divisional event, like for the SCCA, there's a decent number of people who are there that are fast, talented, capable drivers. The thing is about those events is that there's so many classes that those guys are spread out. And generally speaking, there's not more than maybe one or two at the most in any one specific class at any regular event that you go to, with the exception of runoffs. The difference for GLTC is that because there is only one, or even the time attack stuff, that there's so few classes, and for GLTC there's just the one, that all of that talent is always going to be together. And so it's not so much obviously there's lots of really good drivers there, but it maybe isn't necessarily so much that there's more of them as they're all condensed into one class because they have to be.
Yep.
So then you have to fight with those people a lot more often. Or fight's not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, battle on track.
Ohio was cold water to the face. We went there knowing, like, I knew I was going to be faster than I had been before at Mid-Ohio. And my goal for the weekend, I killed into practice session. And so it was immediately like, well, we need to have better goals. And so qualifying, I went faster, and then I ended up setting another personal best in one of the races. And in qualifying, getting another personal best and being within 3 or 4 seconds of the leader, I qualified 24th. Which I know for like anybody who watched like Specs Miata and stuff like that, like they're a lot more condensed. And I mean, GLTC can definitely get more competitive, but for what it had been, like being 3 seconds off the pole position.
Being 20 spots back. That's crazy.
I mean, I was stoked when I got out of the car. I'm like, hell yeah, man. We just set a personal best. The car feels good. Like, we're communicating. Let's go.
I'm going to be top 10. Oh, shit.
And then, yeah, I looked at that and I'm like, top 10 were within 8/10.
So crazy.
Freaking nutty, man. And then we backed it up, a few weeks later, and it's hard. It's really like we've been setting, except for Gingerman, we have set a new personal best at every track we've gone to by a decent margin. And we're fighting to stay in the teens. I mean, it's hard.
I think there was more than one race this year where top 3 position was determined by the fact that one person had their transponder on the front of the car and another person had it on the back.
I keep mine on the front now because I have had multiple finishes where I've had to go to race control afterwards to clear it up. And
That's so crazy.
NOLA was one of them. Jeremy Boyson and I had a drag race at the last. I definitely went through that turn a little conservative, and he was coming. And his transponder was on the front somewhere in the middle of my car, and mine was on the back. And I rewatched my video to be sure, but I went to race control. I'm like, no, it was me. I had him. You give me my spot. I worked hard.
So is that how that works? Is it whose front bumper crosses the finish line first, not whose transponder?
Correct.
Okay.
Now,
and I was told, hey, you might want to think about moving that up a little bit. Because that happened to Lichty and McGrew at Road America. It
happened to Swenson and maybe Highcotter at Alpine, I think, this year.
Yeah, they were really close. That's right.
Yeah. So craziness.
Yeah, it's hard. I also have a super hateful transmission that I'm swapping out for next year. So we've had the Miata 6-speed in it since we did the swap because it's better for higher horsepower. But you're constantly shifting gears. We were comparing data with the Emil Tab, who's another fast K-swap Miata guy. And we're shifting somewhere, I want to say like 6 times more around Gingerman than he is. And just never in the right gear in the middle of the corner. It happened at Mid-Ohio too. It does not like to shift from 4th to 5th. Like my shifts, if I can get it down to 0.3 or 0.4, that's a fast shift. So I'm going to be excited. We do think there's measurable time in the transmission, and we're going to get a better diff, which will be worth some time too. And hopefully I'll just not suck as much too. So
I assume that's not the only 2 things you have planned over the winter?
No.
Are you keeping it tight to your chest? You're not going to tell us what's going on?
The other thing isn't like a speed thing. Getting a bunch of wiring in a new ECU, which is just gonna take weight out of the car. I still have like all this like keyless entry box somewhere up around, like just OEM wiring. And so my wiring guy's gonna kind of have his way with my car probably sometime in February, I would think. I need to call and schedule that with him, but I'm excited about that. Otherwise, largely the same besides the transmission and differential, which I think is going to be pretty big deal for us. We're going to tweak the aero a little bit as well, and take a bunch of weight out. But
nice.
I think I'm probably going to have to add a bunch of weight in. Or rules things.
Huh. All right then. If only
Robbie had any idea what you're talking about.
If only I had a fucking clue. Maybe by the time this comes out, I'll have a plan, and then I can stop chasing down the path that I think I should be going, and only to realize that it's the wrong path.
It's going to be better. It's going to be better.
Well, I don't question that for a second. The conversations I've had with Jabe on kind of where his thought process was on a few things, and obviously following along the whole season with conversations both on and off the group chats, I don't question for a second that the rule set's going to be an improvement.
Yeah, I mean, GLTC is basically coming to me, which is delightful.
Nice.
And
I know what you're talking about.
And but the whole Mid Ohio like fun street tire thing, we were watching very closely. Because we wanted to see and my guy who like looks at all the data and like just geeks out over that stuff was looking very closely at I know Luke McGrew was up on AO52s, I think, up there, and some of the front runners on street tires, like because track conditions for that race were good. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to see like, so how far below their best times were these guys? And they were at least a second and a half off their pace with Hoosiers.
Which would make sense.
Like slower?
Slower.
The Hoosiers were faster?
Yes.
Okay.
Which should to anybody who looks at the table, that shouldn't be a large surprise.
Right.
Unless you basically had to stack your modifiers. It works great for the big displacement guys because you only have to take one of the hits, either displacement or flat tune, not both.
Yep.
And so that's basically a huge part of your street tire modifier. So as long as you could maximize the width on street tires, kind of nullify one of those two, then it worked for you. But street tires for S2000s, Miata smaller cars, 4 cylinders, certainly the math just isn't there, because at any basic track with the same car, even same power, second and a half is like minimum around Gingerman putting on a good set of slicks. Mm-hmm. How much power is a second and a half at Gingerman? Because it's more than 8.
Yeah.
And we kind of did the math, and it's a lot closer to somewhere around 20 to 30. Mm-hmm. Now that's driver aside. These are all like simulations and stuff, but that's kind of the data that we were looking at. So, so we're looking forward to it. Second and a half closer to us, basically. I mean,
single lap pace isn't the whole story there either, though. Right. I mean, just because you can put down one fast flyer doesn't mean you can do it the whole race either. And I think street tires are known for falling off a little quicker than an R7.
Depends on which one, and it depends on your car. I think that's
right.
That's part of what's going to be interesting. Is who goes where and what's decided, and there are tire choices for sure. Yep. So, it's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to make for better viewership. I think it's going to be more interesting to watch. But I think it's also, it's going to be better for drivers.
No, I think so. I think if every rumor is implemented based on the conversations I've had, I'm basically all on board with everything that's changing.
Yeah. And a lot of it too, again, like I've been talking with Jabay mostly about the whole culture thing, throughout the year, because things at spring kickoff were ugly.
I made a comment to Adam. I don't know if I might have said it publicly on the podcast too. After Heartland Park, I made a comment. I was like, I'm feeling a shift in the GLTC paddock from being friends to being cutthroat. And I felt like that Heartland Park was the biggest shift that I noticed. And
Heartland Park and some of the chats and stuff got pretty ugly.
Yep. Yeah. They shut down a lot of the group chats. And then it got ugly. It felt like it didn't go as ugly as it could have been, or where it was, or the projection that it was going. I do feel like they kind of nipped it in the bud a little bit. But it definitely looked ugly for a while there.
And part of it for me, again, I was a pastor. My organizational sense and leadership certainly kind of comes in that there are cliques in the paddock, and those are hard to not have. But that's part of the reason why Becky and I float on any given weekend as much as we do, because we want to talk to everybody as much as possible.
Yep.
Not for any like nefarious reason, but we have friends here. We've got friends over there. We've got friends here. I mean, they're good people everywhere.
No, definitely. Definitely.
And so that's certainly part of it. And that's going to have to continue to be, have effort put into it. But the other part too is, the drivers for a long time just didn't have a good outlet to discuss, disagreements, protests, things like that. And a 95 person Facebook chat is not a good format.
No, not at all.
Bringing up points and having a discussion about them. And so it basically devolved into shouting matches at many points. And it was ugly.
Yeah, then you have people that chime in that are there clearly just to stir the shit.
Yeah, and we had some non-drivers, not that they shouldn't have been there, but essentially out of that, I created a GLTC driver forum Facebook group.
Yep. So it's all public and not public, but public within the drivers.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, public's not the right word, but
yeah, it's a private group, drivers only, plus race directors.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's been productive. I think a lot of the discussion that's been posted on there has been really good. There's a couple like smaller group chats of more like, because I'm still in the buddy chat. And
sure.
I think the Road America, the Road America one's still active, and they haven't shut that one down yet. But it's been positive. Like it's been good. So
yeah, I think just having the drivers forum is a good place. I mean, it's it doesn't get a whole lot of posts, but I don't think it should.
No.
It's a place to like more serious, straightforward discussions, and the memes get posted on the GLTC Facebook page.
Yep.
And the chat is kind of the buddy hang. So I think it's good to have separate places for these things.
No, I definitely made an effort to go and like if there was any incident, even if it wasn't truly an incident, but it was just something that happened on track, I went and searched out that person. I obviously was talking to Brian DeFries a lot this year, as you saw when I'd come over and say hi to you and him. Just to kind of talk through like, hey, this happened. Did I screw that up really bad, or hey man, that was awesome. Like it was super competitive the whole way through. It was fun, clean. That's exactly what exactly what it's supposed to be.
I've had races where I've gotten out of my car. I didn't take off my helmet, and I was like walking to somebody else's paddock. And I remember my first year had Ben Harisco, who drove really crappy red Spec Miata.
Yep.
And just had the best time with him. But I'm a lot taller than he is, and I still had my helmet on. I was walking towards him at full clip, and the look on his face was just like, I have no idea what's about to happen. And I'm
going to get my ass chewed by Scott Robertson.
And I'm like smiling under this helmet, and I give him like the biggest bear hug. I'm like, dude, that was phenomenal. Like, let's do it again in like a few hours. I mean, that's what's good.
It's nice that attitude really resonates towards the back of the pack.
Yes.
Because basically everyone that's there kind of has that, I'm getting started. My car's not built to the class. I'm working my way into wheel to wheel. And obviously that's not everybody, but that's, a good chunk of us are in that boat. Just like this, I know I'm not in the front. I know I have no business in the front. Yeah. I'm learning.
Yeah. I've gotten some camaraderie with Dustin Barty, who's in the Civic.
Yes.
Yeah. He and I had remarkably similar pace at most of the tracks. So we usually found each other on track this year, but still some of my favorite racing was that first year of GLTC. Even at Road America, we had 4 Miatas and an E36. at the very back, and all of us were running very similar pace, just tearing it up. It was John Raymond in his yellow Spec Miata, Ben Harisco, and I hope I'm saying his last name. He keeps telling me and I keep forgetting. In his red Spec Miata, which is now Taylor's. And then Jorge, who was in his then like blue and neon green glow in the dark hard top. And Max in the BMW at the back of the pack just having a riot. And that's good stuff.
I mean, that's how the introduction to wheel should be. It shouldn't be like your first weekend, you get screamed at and like you messed up and you ruined everyone's weekend and no, I mean it should be like I'm here to learn. I'm getting my feet wet. I'm going to actively try not to drive like an asshole. If I make a mistake, I want to know what mistake I made and let's talk about it so I don't make that mistake again. And that's been very, very good in GLTC for me personally. I've had nothing but really good interactions with people. Like even like I thought I really screwed something up for somebody, and I go and talk to them like, "Nah, man, it happens. It wasn't intentional, and it wasn't a problem. Like we didn't touch or anything. It was just like, hey, Patrick, I pushed you wide in 10 because I screwed up that brake zone. I'm sorry. Nah, man, it's cool. I saw it happen."
And most of the time, that's how things come down.
Yep.
And yeah, that first year for me was great. I mean, it was intense competition without the pressure of victory.
For sure. For sure.
Like we weren't going to be winning unless something catastrophic happened, and that would have been tragic. But yeah, we weren't going to be winning, but we were going to have some hard competition.
Yep.
And that was good. And we're kind of still there. The possibility of victory is not a present reality, but the competition is stiff.
Very. So we got like maybe an hour left of the show. So where do you want to take it?
My bedtime was 15 minutes ago. Y'all can run.
Scott's like, I don't know how you guys do this shit.
I do have. I want to remind everybody to head over to Apex Pro. I got my Gen 2.
Finally. Good for you.
I finally got my Gen 2. I used it at Road America. It was awesome.
Yeah, I've had mine for 3 months, but that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Mr. Fancy Guy. But I do want to point out that if you have a Gen 1 and you want to upgrade to the Gen 2, you can send it into Apex Pro and get a $100 rebate on the Gen 2.
You want it.
You do want it. I promise you want it.
Yep.
And then...
Yeah, that predictive heads up for qualifying is a real thing.
Yeah, that's really nice. Real nice.
Yep.
That just following the lights, knowing that you're improving it's inspiring. It makes you push it even harder.
Yep. And then Becky comes over the radio. Push, 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 push.
That'd be nice to have a radio.
Yeah.
I want you guys to have radios so bad. You need one. Dalton and Ryan in Time Attack need one. I would love to sit on the side of the racetrack and yell at you guys for being terrible drivers.
All right, now I don't want one anymore.
But the great part right now is with the Gen 2 is you can stream telemetry.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as long as you don't go to another screen and you keep it sideways, it'll keep overlaying your speed trace. And so you can get live coaching as you're going. So it's like on a given lap, like as soon as you come through, say turn 1, and you get around turn 2. So at least, you're on a straightaway, you can focus. Hey, your minimum speed at turn 1 was much better. Whatever you did, keep doing it. Just so you know in the back of your mind, that was better than what I had done previously. Like could be a real powerful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think we can wrap this show up with a hot take.
Oh man, what are we doing this week?
We've done this a couple of weeks in a row, and I people seem to really love or hate it.
It's really created some interesting arguments and conversations on the group.
It's made the group fun again.
Thing I found was more just confusing. Like, yeah, I never had considered that you could
Sock shoe.
Yeah,
that's never crossed your mind. Weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I can't imagine.
I did find it much more offensive that anybody says Payday is their best candy bar.
As soon as I get off of this, I'm gonna go eat a Payday just for you.
I hope you enjoy it because
see, I don't like chocolate. So like
anymore, or is this just the stock they've had since 1970?
Probably.
I don't know.
70.
I eat enough of them to keep them in business. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
But I did get to spend the best $15 I've ever spent in my entire life last Saturday.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm like confused and a little bit confused, but also super proud of you for it.
So Max texted me. He's like, hey, man, we should really mess with Booney. I'll go halvesies. So I go to Instacart and I realize that there's a Hy-Vee like right down the street from Booney's house. And on your first Instacart order, it's free delivery. And for some reason, Saturday had express free delivery. So it could deliver in like a half hour. So I go on and I find peanut butter and jelly in the same jar, squeezable jelly because he's offended by both.
Yeah, because you use preserves like an adult.
Wait. Peanut butter jelly in the same and it squeezes?
No. There's two separate.
One
There's two
of each.
separate. So
that was about to be too much.
Yeah, a jar of goobers is what they call it, and it's peanut butter and jelly in the same one.
It's not how you do it.
No. And then the squeezable jelly from Welch's, which turns to like a watery mess if you ever have had it in your life. And then I got him ketchup because he hates ketchup. And then I also got him brats.
It's also gross.
Because I got him pineapple brats to take with the ketchup. And it was because I had to have $10 minimum. So I got the $10, got the free delivery, delivered it to his house. I love the group. The group is the best.
Oh, man.
The best part was that his wife goes, "Did we have groceries delivered?" Yeah, we did. From those idiots from the podcast.
He ate them at least.
He ate the brats and he enjoyed them.
I'm sure his kids will use the ketchup.
Oh yeah, it'll be fine. It's not going to go to waste.
Doesn't use ketchup. Un-American.
It's gross.
It's not gross.
Sorry.
It's amazing.
I do a mayo ketchup blend for my French fries. That's how you do it.
Adam can't do mayo or ketchup. So
mayo is so nasty.
That's the least.
I can't even put it on a sandwich for Katie without feeling like I'm gonna gag.
I offered him $30 to have a mayo packet at the restaurant. He wouldn't do it.
Like just raw?
Yeah, just take the little not container. What's a little packet or whatever?
Little squeezy thing.
Yeah. I offered him $30.
Tear a corner off and just like slurp it out of there. So I don't know.
I'd have a hard time doing that, and I really like it.
For $30? Oh yeah, I'd do it.
I mean, yeah, I didn't say I wouldn't. I had a hard time.
All right, so the hot take tonight. What is the correct way to cut toast?
Oh, Jesus. I have an answer. Apparently there's three ways. This is a meme, I guess. And in that meme, there were three ways to cut the toast. There's diagonally.
Yep.
And then there's
top to bottom.
Top to bottom and side to side in half. Those are the other two.
Right.
And then I personally feel like there's a fourth option, which is don't cut it because I'm an adult and I'll just pick up the piece of toast and eat it.
You don't cut your toast?
No.
Ever.
There's actually a fifth option that I don't think either of you have considered, which is my stance, which is toast is overcooked bread, and I will just take a piece of bread. Thank you.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, with breakfast, I got to have toast,
You got to have toast, man. What do you put your preserves on?
You got to use toast to like pick up your
eggs.
Your egg yolks.
No, I just I ladle that stuff up. I do it over easy, just with a spoon right in my mouth.
No, you get the over easy, and then you take the toast and you wipe it up.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'll eat it if I go to a restaurant and the toast is there, and it's as long as it adds like a bunch of butter on it.
Yeah, it's got to be butter.
He's over here throwing shade about paydays and doesn't eat toast.
Yeah, it's craziness.
I mean, I'll eat it. I just, at my house, it's not a thing I will make for myself. I don't want to.
I mean, we don't have to get into the types of toast, but like.
So how do you cut your bread then?
Yeah.
How about that?
I don't.
Do you? Yeah.
I don't. No, I mean, in the restaurant, when it is served to me, it is almost always diagonal. It's almost
that's the way it's supposed to be.
And I feel like if I was going to cut my toast, that's how I would do it.
I cut my sandwiches that way. If I cut my sandwiches,
you cut your sandwiches.
Like if I have a tuna fish sandwich, sometimes I'll cut it.
How old are you?
4. When I'm watching cartoons and I'm eating my tuna fish sandwiches, sometimes I like to have two different halves.
Do I have to peel the crust off of it first, or will you eat?
I'll eat the crust. I'll eat the crust.
Okay, well, you're one up on my kid then.
So my go-to dessert is what I call dessert cereal, and I will sit down with a bowl of like Fruity Pebbles or Frosted Flakes or marshmallow, anything in a bowl at like 9:00 at night watching TV.
Totally acceptable.
That's the only time that eating cereal is acceptable.
Cereal is acceptable all the time.
At any time of the day.
It is not a breakfast item.
It is an all the time item. You can have it whenever you want.
Breakfast needs to be hot. That's all there is to it.
Not in the summer.
Yeah, it does,
no,
Robbie.
It doesn't. I'm not like I have hot coffee all the time, but it doesn't have to be.
No, breakfast needs to not be
sugary breakfast cereals.
Cereal is not a breakfast item.
I have like my healthy breakfast cereals,
of course,
with an egg and a small glass of orange juice because I continually find out how bad sugar is for you.
Yeah,
and I'm not young anymore. But then for dessert, it's full on sugar. Bring it on.
Yeah, I'm more of an ice cream guy, but yeah, sugary breakfast cereals are always okay.
You know, you could probably do an ice cream cereal float.
They do that at Zombie Burger, and it's fucking
I thought
bomb.
I had an original idea. Of course I didn't.
No, it's bomb, dude. It's so good.
We have a place in Des Moines called Zombie Burger, and they make like crazy shakes and stuff like that. I think you get like a Cinnamon Toast Crunch one and
Fruity Pebbles
Fruit Loops one and Fruity Pebbles, stuff like that.
They're really good. They're worth every penny.
Put it in my mouth. I want it.
You should come hang out in Des Moines sometime. It's not as bad as people think it is.
It's actually kind of nice.
That should not be your tagline, though.
Yeah, we don't.
Here's the thing, though, and like, I don't want people to cut. Like, I don't want people to realize that Iowa is not as bad as they think it is. I want them to think that it's just the worst place in the world.
Leave us alone,
because I don't want them here.
I've never had a reason to go to Iowa.
Well, now you do.
We're a reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go karting or something like that.
Are you guys like on the way to Heartland for me?
Kind of. It'd be out of the way. It wouldn't be. It would be slightly out of the way.
No, wouldn't you like just go through Chicago?
Yeah, probably. Well,
I think he'd cut down though, and then go across.
Jabay went through Des Moines when he went to Heartland Park. I don't know if you would take the same route as him based on your geographic location.
I don't think you would.
Or if it would make more sense to take a more southerly route for you. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it would either be through Chicago or south through Indianapolis. I don't know. I'd have to look in old.
Yeah, I think you do Indianapolis and then like across like through St. Louis and into Kansas that way.
And if I don't have to drive through Chicago, I avoid that. It sucks.
I suppose if you went to Alpine, you'd probably go through Des Moines, which you should do because it's a great event.
We could caravan together.
I want to. I don't know if we can. I got to take a look. The tentative schedule has been like leaked.
Yeah.
It's secret too. You can't talk about it.
I can't.
It's like Fight Club.
Trying to look at what we're going to make it to. The March event we will be going to.
I will
for sure.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
Do it, Rob.
We'll see. I have yet to like the finals is the only one I know for sure that I will be at. Everything else is up in the air.
Yeah. We know we're doing the one lap in a bunch of slow cars.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Looking forward to that greatly.
That'll be fun. This year I stretched myself way too thin, and had I not sold the GTO, I'd be in a not great place. So it worked out, but I can't do that again.
Yep, I hear you. It's real hard on us for a myriad of reasons, and
yep.
yeah, we're going to enjoy the next few months of not doing race car things.
Yeah.
I didn't even drive, and it was pretty rough on me from time to time this year. So,
Yep.
Taxing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
shut this down.
We've done a proper podcast.
That's my bad time.
Yeah, we've done a proper length podcast. So how does that feel?
Damn it, Robbie.
Did you guys even plug any of your other sponsors like you usually do?
It's fine.
They're in the description.
Go to Petrolbox.
MyPetrolbox.com, Factory Fabrication. And
I totally, the way that I have to say this on the record on the podcast because I can't be the only one. The way you say Factor Fab 100% sounds like Factory Fab.
Nope. You're the only one.
People think that all the time.
No, you're the only one.
Factory Fab. Until I finally looked at the logo that you linked on Facebook, and I'm like, you need to take the pebbles out of your mouth.
Lots of people think it's factory fabrication.
It's Factor Fab.
Factor Fab.
It has. You got to put a pause. You have to pause.
It's Factor 2 Fab.
Well, that would solve
technically, but even Booney doesn't seem to use that.
Nope. FactorFabrication.com.
Or just get a better name.
Wow. Wow. I see you made an enemy in Des Moines.
Oh, you and Booney would be best of friends because you two are so alike. It's so funny.
Yeah. I don't know.
Your demeanor and stuff like that. You and Booney are very similar people.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't tell if Scott's just like fucking with me or if he's like actually mad about something or if he's being,
it's definitely hard to tell on the internet. I'm there to entertain myself.
Right.
And I have a very dry, sometimes British sense of humor, and it does not come across well sometimes.
Well, I'm in one group chat with Scott. And I have no idea how I ended up in this group chat. I have no business being in this group chat. So I'm just there to fuck with people.
Which one?
Sunday Cup.
The Sunday Cup, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just there to mess with people.
I shouldn't be there. I'm there because Becky's there, basically. And
right.
And
so then I'm like, man, I don't know if he's mad at me. Because I make fun of GLTC in there all the time. Man, I don't know. I think Scott's actually mad at me right now. So
I'll keep you guessing.
It's fine. So,
should I put my outro music on your podcast?
You want to plug your stuff?
Yeah, I'll say, where can people find you?
What do you do?
So I drive, our little team is Robertson Racing, which consists of me and the Miata, the GLTC Miata, Becky and Mooncake the Mazda 2, who's going to be doing Time Attack Sunday Cup stuff next year, and Brian DeFries in the GLTC Civic. So that you can find us on Instagram at Robertson Racing or Facebook at Robertson Racing Miata. And I also do a podcast with my dear friend Seth, which is called Track Walking. And we are at Track Walking Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And next year, Becky and I are going to be available to do single session or full day car setup and evaluation for hire.
Yay.
We're going on the road. So, we found that there was a lot more interest than I thought. We did 10 evaluations the Midwest Fest weekend, and I was surprised. So we're going to be trying to expand that a little bit and see if anyone's interested.
I'm interested.
Holler at me. As long as I'm not driving. I can't be driving. Just I need too much attention.
That's fair.
That's all I got.
But from everyone here at 10 Tenths, I'm Robert.
No, Robbie, we're not.
Come on, that's how we finished this.
No, we're not doing it.
This is ridiculous.
And for Track Walking, I'm Scott.
I'm Robert.
And I refuse to participate.
And we'll catch everyone next week.